Hello, my name is Beth Garcia, and today we will be talking about Arizona's private school laws. First, we need to understand that Arizona is one of the leading states in the nation when it comes to educational freedom and school choice. Under the 14th Amendment, the government has identified that children do not belong to the government, but that parents have the fundamental right to direct the upbringing and education of their children. Arizona law and the Center for Arizona Policy has identified these fundamental rights as the freedom to choose from a wide variety of school options, including district, charter, online, private, or homeschool education. In Arizona, there are several school choice options. First, we begin with the public school sector. These are publicly funded institutions regulated by a board and the state. Students can choose to open enroll to another school or district if they choose, and public schools can also operate online. Enrollment is free for students. Charter schools are schools publicly funded but independent of school districts by nonprofit or for-profit organizations. Charter schools can also operate online, and student enrollment is free of cost. Arizona also defines private schools as a non-public institution other than the child's home where academic instruction is provided for at least the same number of days and hours each year as a public school. These schools usually operate in a tuition-based enrollment and include religious and also non-religious schools. Homeschool. Arizona defines homeschool as a non-public school conducted primarily by the parent, guardian, or another person in the custody of the child. These families are required to file an affidavit with the county school superintendent. For the purposes of this presentation, we are going to be focusing on private schools. According to the Department of Education, a private school is defined as a non-public institution other than the child's home, where the academic instruction is provided for at least the same number of days and hours each year as a public school. Private schools in Arizona run on a tuition-based enrollment. However, Arizona law has been a trailblazer when it comes to providing access for funding so parents can afford this option. Parents can choose from individual tax credits, individual plus tax credits, corporate tax credit, Lexi's Law, and the new Empowerment Scholarship Account. Tax credits, also known as STOs, allows taxpayers to receive back dollar for dollar from the state for their donation, which goes against what they would otherwise owe as a state tax payment. Schools usually have to go through a third party to receive these funds. Some third-party companies in Arizona are Arizona School Tuition Organization, or ACSTO, or the Institute for Better Education, IBE. Families can choose from individual tax credits, individual plus tax credit, the corporate tax credit, or Lexi's Law. The Empowerment Scholarship Account is unique to Arizona and was established by the Arizona Department of Education. This allows 90% of state education funding that the child would get for public education, and it allows the child to use it for any school options. This could be homeschool or private school. Students, however, cannot use ESA for public or charter schools. There are many ways to qualify for ESA. The new Universal Scholarship allows any student in grades K through 12 to apply and be accepted for an ESA. These qualifications also include students with disabilities, siblings of previous or current ESA students, military families, school zonings of kids who attend a D or F school, or Native American students or those in foster care. Students get funding depending on their school district. This can look different across Arizona state. Kindergartners in Arizona only get funded at a half-day rate. Students can use ESAs for tuition, curriculum, sports, services, technology, and also college. Funding goes out to parents every quarter, 4 times a year into a scholarship account. All purchases must be approved and adhere to the qualified items found in the ESA handbook. For schools, private and charter schools can accept ESA if they are not already funded by the state. Students, however, cannot use an STO and an ESA. They must choose one. Private school students and school regulations. In Arizona, private school regulations are limited. Accreditation, registration, licensing, and approval are not regulated, as well as teacher certification and professional development. Students must comply with Arizona compulsory school attendance, which means they must be in school for at least 180 days of instruction. Districts can define their own school calendar, which could be a August through May or a year-round type of calendar, as long as they meet the minimum instruction time. Students between ages 6 and 16 must receive instruction in reading, grammar, mathematics, social studies, and science at a minimum. Record keeping and reports. A private school must maintain a copy of the pupil's file and reliable proof of their identity. Within 5 days after a student transfers from another private school or a school district, the school must request the certified copy of the transcript with due diligence. Also, any school asked to forward a copy of a student's record must do so within 10 days. Parents enrolling in a private school must file an affidavit with the county superintendent. However, this is important. If a child is using ESA, they do not need to file an affidavit, even if they are enrolled in a private school. Transportation, textbooks, testing, and technology have no regulations for private schools in Arizona. Special education laws apply through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This act states that each district must locate, identify, and evaluate all children with disabilities who are enrolled by their parents in a private, including religious, elementary school and secondary schools located in the school district. This evaluation is also known as a child find study. Children are not allowed to attend private or public schools without submitting proof of immunization to the school administrator. Parents also have a choice in Arizona to file for a vaccine exemption due to religious or personal reasons. The fire marshal is responsible for establishing programs for inspecting private schools for fire safety and evacuating school buildings, and instructing students in private schools on the importance of fire prevention and control. Arizona requires students, teachers, and visitors in private schools to use protection eyewear while participating in various activities. Private schools must also equip their schools with the appropriate protection eyewear. Private schools must place and maintain signs identifying the school as a drug-free zone. And finally, private schools may participate in school meal programs offered by the state and through federal assistance programs. Labor and employment laws. Arizona is an at-will employment state, meaning either party can end the relationship at any time for any legal reason. Arizona falls under the ministerial exception under the First Amendment. This means that this gives board power to religious schools to hire and fire employees who carry out important religious functions, and can base this on mission alignment or misalignment. Nonprofits are tax exempt under the IRS 501c3 status. If your private school has a 501c3, it is also required to follow federal employee laws, state-specific labor codes, local ordinances, and industry-specific compliance rules. We must remember Romans 13:1. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Thank you.